morning, Jason. And good morning, Joshua.
Good morning, Anthony.
Gentlemen, might be a little light today. Everybody's in Miami jumping up and down about Inky. Um, I'll let a couple of people wander in, but while that's happening, do either of you use Graphis?
Nope, can't say as I do.
No, I haven't utilized that just yet.
Got it. Well, we've got a better solution coming along, so I'll look for the press release on that shortly. Nothing wrong with Graphis, but it was time for a replacement, I'm told. So I don't work with it. So I had no idea. I was hoping you guys could share whether it was worth a damn or not. Oh, let's see. Let James get on in here. And good morning, James.
Hey, Anthony, how you doing?
It's a good day here in San Francisco. Remind me, James, where are you?
Texas.
Texas. Which part? One of the good parts?
We're in North Fort Worth.
Fort Worth. Got it. I got family out Greenville way, so I know you're part of the world.
Okay.
Pretty
Yep.
well. Pretty well. Just figured we could hang out here and tell bad jokes and hang out for a few minutes and see if anybody else shows. I know we've got a lot of folks in Miami today, so we'll see if we get any of the usual suspects or if it's just us reprobates.
There's a couple of people hanging out.
Yeah, exactly. Got a little bit of news from Miami to share, and then had a nice discussion with another partner or the sport ticket actually about something that I want to make sure everybody is clear about. So I actually do have something to talk about, but as always, we'll lead with anything that you guys have for questions. And we'll give everybody else just another minute or two to join us, and we'll go from there. All righty. So is anybody here glad they didn't go to Miami during a government shutdown of airplane towers?
Well, seeing as I'd be coming from Canada, I'd rather stay away at the moment.
You and me both, Jason. Yeah, since I'm on the West Coast, I'd have a lot of challenges getting. It's a long trip just to get there, and then I'm looking at the was it FlightAware's misery map and seeing a bunch of the silly shutdown stuff that's happening. Makes me less than enthusiastic to go to Miami right now. I'm sorry to miss the people. I've had a bunch of partners say, "Oh, you're not here. That sucks," so on and so forth. But I do look forward to seeing as many of you as possible at Ride a Boom, and then of course at in Vegas, if you can make it, if the country is opened back up or whatever the heck, if the air traffic controllers are back in business by then. Good morning, everyone. A surprisingly nice little turnout. I thought we would be a bit late today, considering DataCon is going on in Miami, and we've got a bunch of partners, and our friend Ben is absent, you'll notice. So I'll ask this as we do every 2 weeks. Does anybody have any technical questions? Anything going on in your world that we can help you, talk about, review, examine, anything on the platform that we can help you with? And if not, I have a few announcements. We were talking as people are still joining. Does anybody on this call use Graphis? One of the Kaseya products called Graphis. Comes with, I believe, a 365 user.
No, we don't use
Nope.
it, but we heard about it from you guys. You guys were pitching it. I don't think we signed up for it yet.
No worries. I appreciate the feedback, Stephen. Graphis was looking a little long on the tooth. It was a good product. It was a very solid product. We had a lot of people very happy with it. Excellent. Thank you. I apologize. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Ewan?
Yeah, spot on, Ewan.
Ewan, fantastic. Little late in the afternoon for you, Ewan, or?
Yes, yeah, a little bit, but it's fine. 4 o'clock's not a problem.
Excellent. Yeah, no. Good excuse to knock off and knock one back and sit around and talk about nonsense here. Graphis is still going to be an available SKU. It's still going to be part of the package. And over the next few months, we will be adding the option to move to Inky. I don't know any of the mechanics or price points or anything that's going to change. They keep me in the dark as an engineer, but I know that we were very excited to have the opportunity to partner with Inky. And so look for some changes on that front. Now, to that end, has anybody used Inky? I'd love some feedback if you have.
We just got rid of it, actually. We used it for the past 4 years and got out.
James, if you don't mind, you can tell me to get bent. Do you have any experiences with Inky that you'd like to share? What worked and what didn't?
It worked fairly well, to be honest with you. It's just Barracuda was running the whole back end of it, and we were having issues with Barracuda. Our clients never had a complaint about how it worked for them. It worked very well. We've since moved to Shield Security, which, you know, a little more involved, but does a really good job as well. Just involves a little more management from the user side.
Excellent. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate that feedback because, again, Inky, I know the brand name, but I've got zero experience with it. I appreciate your boots on the ground perspective. And hopefully anything that wasn't working about back-end management or oversight from the big Barracuda overlords, we can maybe do a little bit better job, I hope. I think we can. Let James in. So that's all the news that I know from our friends in Miami, but I will share this. We had a client recently. He wanted to know, and this might sound familiar to some of you who've been around for a while. Hey, one of my he actually was a dental practice. He handled some medical offices, and they said this dental practice has this great application that runs all their records and does everything. Can SaaS Alerts monitor that application? Well, that's a very soft maybe. Where it really starts with is how robust is the API? Does the application share good syslog data? Does it have lots of data, a lot of meat on that bone? And so we always kind of start with that question. Was the software written to play well with others, to share that data? And in this case, they're looking into it because there is a Swagger hub and there does appear to be a robust API. So the next step is, if you have an application, whether it's a box of software off the shelf or something written in-house or anything in between, if it has a robust API, if there is plenty of syslog data in there and application data, what changes were made and so on, then we would love to monitor that. And I don't want to promise it this quarter. It'll probably happen this quarter, but the application wizard process that has sort of been languishing a bit because of some other projects that took priority has come back full steam. And that's the idea that we can give you the keys. If you're looking at an application, a dental practice ERP or something, and it presents 52 things in the 52 kinds of alerts, you could cherry pick which 3, 5, 10, 50 you want to ingest without involving us very heavily. So look for some noise on that to come forward. And anybody that's ever asked me, hey, can you monitor application X? Now you know why I say maybe. That really all depends. So look for more news on Application Wizard later this quarter or on into next. Anybody have any questions about App Wizard or monitoring custom apps? All right. Only new changes you're going to see on the platform right now. We were sort of slow rolling some things. Let me let Sam in. We were sort of slow rolling some things before Miami. Welcome, Sam. We're sort of slow rolling a couple of things, but you will notice that if you were a partner before the acquisition, you always had the help bar down at the bottom left, and then we enriched that with some onboarding videos. Well, some of our partners who came on after the acquisition, who came on through Kaseya's internal deployment process, didn't see all that. They didn't have that big help button. Now everyone should, who's an MSP admin. So if you're not seeing all of that, that's one of the few changes on the platform, some minor bug fixes and stuff in the background. But that's really it. It's been kind of a quiet week or two with most everybody getting ready to travel. So this could be the shortest office hours in the history of office hours. Does anybody have any questions? I know, Sam, honestly, it was one of those that used to be standard part of our And we didn't do it. It was part of the acquisition. This was a educational process. It was a learning process. And we had to standardize on getting all of our SaaS Alerts knowledge-based stuff into the same ecosystem as Kaseya so that it was homogeneous, had the right fonts, had the right kind of menuing system and all that. And that just took a little bit of time. And so it wasn't by choice. It was actually kind of an oversight until somebody complained about it and like, yeah, I can't train people to look at there before they start opening up help desk tickets if there's no there, there's no place to look. So that should be resolved, Sam. So if you don't see that, do give us a shout. Again, I don't want to waste everyone's time, but does anybody have any questions at all about SaaS Alerts, about Kaseya, about what's going on in Miami, about why the baseball scores are as terrible as they are this year? I mean, anything we can help with. And this is absolutely going to be the shortest one in history. Coming in at just under 10 minutes, going once, going twice. Does anybody have any questions?
You know what? I will ask a question, Anthony.
Please, Joshua, hit me.
So as somebody that's still kind of settling into the role and, learning everything about what it is that I specifically and we do as a whole, right? Familiarizing myself with the rules and rule creation and everything like that. What is the easiest way? Well, not even the easiest way, but the most efficient way to bridge the gap of really getting into it? Because I'm not actively taking anything yet, but.
No, absolutely, Joshua. I'll say this. A lot of what we talk about during onboarding and a lot of what we put on the platform is teaching an MSP to fish. I want to show you some examples, get you excited about the possibilities, and start to picture in your head, how would I apply this for this client that I have, or that part of my stack, or maybe everybody, or maybe that one CEO that gives his credentials away every 10 minutes. We've all got some of those fools in our lives. How would I best support them with customized alerting in IOCs or customized automation? So the journey looks like this. Borrow, beg, steal from everybody else on this call. Look at what they're doing on Discord. Look at a bunch of Ben's ideas on our YouTube channel. Anybody on this call who isn't familiar with Discord or our YouTube channel, please. Yeah, exactly. 100%, Sam. Those of you who may not know Ben as well as some of the OG staff here, the OG team here, Ben used to sit in your chair. He was an engineer for a very large MSP, and he knows what it's like to consume SaaS Alerts and other Kaseya products. And he built out some ideas that he thought would be useful to you guys. And that continues to evolve. He found some new stuff the other day, and he's like, "Oh, I got to write up something. Oh, but I'm too busy because I'm presenting in Miami." So it goes. But look for a continued evolution there. And Joshua, you asked a great question. How do I best learn about this? Look at the knowledge base articles. Those are the basics. They'll walk you through how to use each different module, give you some examples, then look at Discord, then look at YouTube, depending on how you learn. There's a ton of great content out there where you can kind of cherry pick and steal others' ideas, as Sam correctly said. And then get creative. How would you apply this? How would you use this? And if you come up with something that somebody else hasn't, by all means, share it here, share it on our Thursday calls, share it on Discord. That's what those spaces are for. Most of the people that show up to these spaces, they give a damn about security first. They're not trying to hide some proprietary idea that some other MSP might be able to steal from them. And I love that about you guys. The very open and caring community we've built here, I think is as important to us as an industry as the application of SaaS Alerts. That's, it's something. So I would encourage you to experiment and keep sharing and keep asking. Stay curious, isn't that what the man said? Sam said playing the IOCs is in low-severity. Yep. And I 100% agree. If you're playing with IOCs, set them to low, walk away. Come back a week later, go into analysis, set your date range, and just sort by the application or the alert name. see how often that would have triggered, see which audience it would have affected, and that'll give you an idea of the efficacy of this or whether you need to tweak that. Now, if you're happy with it at low, then maybe set it to medium or critical, or maybe use that to feed into a respond rule. That's the easy way to ease into that, Joshua. Look at what other people are doing, steal their ideas, put something in place at low, take it for a test drive. If you find it's effective or you think it's going to be in the future, then by all means, link that to some respond actions. So I hope that gives you a little guidance on there, Joshua, but keep showing up here. I learn as much from you guys on these calls as any place else I go. There was something else I was going to say about education. If you have the opportunity to join us at Right of Boom, it's not a Kaseya thing. It's vendor agnostic. Andrew Morgan puts this together every year, and it's all about security. Yeah, there's vendors there, but it's not about any specific one vendor. In this case, there will be some extended deep dive cuts around SaaS Alerts. We're going to do some training there. Now, this might be, something new for some of the folks on this call, or it might be something kind of like what we've seen before. But Ben is never dull on stage, and he always has something new. You've seen that on these calls here. Every 2 weeks, Ben's tripped across something new. Yeah. I agree, Jason. That is something that we have wanted to do long before the acquisition, was have a SaaS Alerts university. Kaseya has a pretty decent university system. There were some changes in their functionality and their leadership, and that is coming back online. We definitely want you guys to get the most out of this platform. I definitely don't want you to have to go to support and come to me and Ben for something that you could be able to find in the SaaS Alerts University. So that has not fallen off our list. I appreciate the feedback, James. Genuinely do. Well, I was able to talk for another 5 minutes. Joshua, thank you for that question. Anybody else have anything else that's burning the
Sure.
biscuits?
I've got a question.
Hey,
So
Sam.
talking about the IOCs and stuff, obviously we have the community templates. There's only 7 in there right now, but as time goes on, how do I know which ones I've already copied? Like it'd be nice to have an indicator if you've copied this one, once before or something, to know that I've already gone through the list and be like, oh, I've already pulled this one, I've pulled this one. Or, mark that, hey, this one's been updated since the last time you clicked the copy button or something. Because some of those templates then, the threat changes, like the risky inbox rules.
Sam,
I
I
have
like
to then
that
hunt
idea.
that down and then fix it myself.
That's something I've asked for on the landing page. It's like, hey, here are the 5 or 6 things that you should do to check this to make sure you know how to use the platform. I've been asking for a long time for them to be able to pop up, hey, here's what's new, not just in the release notes, but saying here is something that you may not have seen before. And where you're going, we do have some metrics, and you've seen that in Fortify. Hey, 183 people have used this template. And of the 183 people that have copied this template, 91 of them are actually implementing it. I'd love to be able to put that same sort of metric into respond rules, IOCs. That's a good suggestion. I'll take that back to our dev team. And for anybody that's new to this world, we love suggestions like that. That's what makes this program better, or this platform better, is because of what you guys ask for out of it. So let's continue to pester us, bug us about that. That's a good call, Sam.
Yeah, it's manageable now while there's 7, but I'm sure as time goes on and that, community templates continues to increase, scrolling through all those or not having like a flag as I've copied this one before. That's not
exactly. Yeah, that's not manageable. Is anyone here on the call using Kaseya, Sam? Or managed SaaS Alerts from back in the day? So the SIM guys, they deliver a couple dozen of those. And I know that Ben has been in the process of rolling some of those out to be public as well, because, SIM, it's managed. Thanks, James. And that is a common question. We'll come back to that. So yeah, there are more ideas. There are more content coming, Sam. Managing that, I think, is a solid suggestion. I'll take that back to Dev. James brought up a very good, a very challenging issue. If a normal user is downloading a file from Uzbekistan, that's one thing. If some guest user account that I don't manage, don't control, probably don't care about, is downloading that data from who knows where, why can't I suppress it by account type? The root cause, James, is when we built this platform back in the day, we said, okay, we're going to look at status, or are we going to look at dynamic changes? And status would be like, does this person have MFA turned on? What was their creation date? What was their last activity date? You know, some fairly static sorts of data like that. And we also looked at dynamic changes. Ronald logged on. Alan deleted a file. Lori set up OAuth into some other application. Those are very dynamic changes. So we went down the dynamic side first, and we got to be pretty good at that, I think. We did that pretty well. But the way that information is delivered in Microsoft is very different than all that static data. And getting alerting to cross those, cross the streams, as it were, proved to be quite difficult, and we haven't been successful at that yet. And so to look at activity from accounts, somebody's downloading files, and correlate that with the account type, guest user, admin, block sign, shared mailbox, whatever, then that becomes a bit more difficult. That's still on the radar. That hasn't fallen off ever, because just like in Respond, you'll see there's two kinds of major alerts: by account changes and by the accounts and by the actions. And we're trying to better manage both of those for alerting and for responding in IOCs, of course. So thank you for bringing that up, James. We have not forgotten that. James, speak up, brother. What's up?
Just on that note, one thing I think, obviously, what you said certainly provides some insight into why it's not an option. Even though if we could somehow get it, I think that would make things much easier. But like, even just on being able to filter out certain fields that we are even getting, there's some limitations there. So as an example, maybe was not doing it correctly, but I tried every option I could think of and couldn't get to work. But we are in the process of rolling out Idemium. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's like a real time kind of, or just in time remote or admin access kind of solution for our clients. And basically we have a rule in place that says, if a password is changed multiple times over a period of time, like generate an alert. And unfortunately, because of the way Idemium works and how it's doing
cycles that all the time. Yeah.
Doing a lot. So I was just trying to say, okay, but all the usernames have like Idemium or something like that in the username. And I was trying to create a filter exception to basically say, don't trigger this alert if the username contains Idemium, or something like that. And I could not figure out a way to do that. So I wasn't sure if that's
James,
possible.
No, it is possible. We're not there yet. Exactly what you're asking for. Imagine if I could filter on hashtag URN SPO anon *** and ignore all that activity. Just put it set to low. What if I could, either in Respond or IOCs, say everything that happens to Idemium or Idemium ***, whatever wildcard or variable you want to use, treat that differently than Bob and Ewan that's the kind of changes that we want to do. And they've been working with wildcards for a while. The challenge that let's listen. I've got somebody else jumping in. The challenge is that it's most of the time it's the identity management, but we have to be homogeneous to all the applications. So what might sort of work for Salesforce doesn't work for Dropbox, might work for Google, doesn't work for Microsoft. It's a challenge. It really is. And wildcards have been way, way up there on our list. Ben's demonstrated how we're starting to get some activity around that, not so much around usernames, but some around the other operators in Respond, but we're not there yet. So I feel your pain. I understand where you're coming from. It is absolutely on the list, but I don't want to promise it by tomorrow.
I appreciate that. And
Yeah.
I think it looked like there might have been a way to use like IOCs as a trigger, which then I could filter on. So like basically create the IOC for the underlying, password change alert, but don't actually trigger a ticket or a real alert, like a low level alert. And then basically put the username inside the description details and then create a respond rule based on that where I could filter it out. But it seemed like a kind of a hack, so I wasn't sure if I
It
want to go down
it
that
it
route.
is the logic, what you were thinking about is exactly how we want to put the abilities into the platform, but there's a couple of steps along the way about how to properly clear that stuff out and then push that data forward into the next step into respond. What I'd love to do is to be able to do that all in one fell swoop. Um, at that alert level, at that IOC level. And that's where those wildcards, I think, knock wood, are going to solve our problem. The enhanced suppression is very much part of that. So that's part of that process. And I know Adam and the crew are working on that. When they get back from, working very hard in Miami or whatever it is they're doing down there, we will continue this conversation. Don't stop pestering us about that, please.
Sounds good. Can I throw one other
Yeah, hit me.
is there any way that we can make it so when at least, and we haven't moved to IOCs yet, but respond rules where it doesn't trigger 3 emails every single time it goes off, like we can consolidate that into one alert? Because like we have it set up so, and we have it's probably a somewhat unique instance, but either, if I'm testing a rule, I have it emailing me directly and it's like bam, 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 like, trigger remediation and then result or whatever. And then like in some cases when we're live, we have it going into a Teams channel. So the notification part works, but getting just 3 alerts for everything back to back and then also like sometimes if the remediation fails, getting those repeated as well. Like it'd be nice if we had some more customization options around that.
That is very much why IOCs exist, James. For anybody that's not familiar, if you have an alert only respond rule, the alert happens. That's at the very bottom of the stack. At the top of the list, everything that's flowing in your PSA is, hey, remediation was successful. Oh, we attempted to do a remediation, which was alert only. Oh, this is when the alert happened. Oh, and then down at the bottom is the alert. So the thing that you or I probably care about should be at the top. It's not ordered that way. So there's a lot of verbiage. James, I literally had partners say respond absolutely doesn't work because it doesn't tell us that. I'm like, you just scroll down? Like, yeah, we scroll down. They scroll down 10 pages and then finally there it is. So the challenge here is every step of a respond action, the trigger, the remediation steps or multiple remediation steps, were they successful or not? If they weren't acknowledged, the repeat notifications, every one of those has to be a separate database entry. And the way that flows in your ticketing system is verbose beyond words. We know this. Now, that's why IOCs come along. I can roll up a bunch of that noise into a single alert, almost binary. This happened. Oh, there's a bunch of triggering stuff if you care about that, but this happened. And then what some of my largest partners are doing who have been asking for IOCs is stacking those criteria. Logging in on a VPN, not scary. Maybe I build an IOC around that. Logging in outside of business hours, nothing scary about that. Maybe I build an IOC on that. But if both of those things happen at once, maybe I aggregate those into a single IOC that isn't a low alert that's medium or critical, or I feed that into a respond rule. Be able to stack those and nest those is the idea. Yeah, exactly, Sam. And that was always the goal with IOCs, is to let you curate what those tier one guys are seeing. So it's what you know they need to know or what you want them to know without a lot of like, hey, here's everything that Microsoft told me about this alert. And some of that just doesn't matter. Some of that just doesn't matter. So that's the goal there. The first, shall we say, baby steps were the IOCs and enhanced alert suppression. Look for those to continue to morph and merge a little bit into the future. James Terrell, I have missed your question, and get that a little closer to delivering what you want. It's in the process. I don't want to even promise that it's going to be successful at all, but I'm pretty sure it will be, and I'm pretty sure it'll be next year. Yeah. James, thank you for being quite patient. You asked a very fair question. We look at 365 and Google as our identity managers. You guys are allowed to build out groups, basically OUs or whatever they're calling them in Azure today. Why can't I cherry pick and only monitor the different OUs I want? That was a business decision as much as a technical decision when we started this project 7 years ago. And so that's where we've landed. We have had some use cases, James, partners who specifically were contracted to support faculty at a school and ignore all the students. And we had to do some mechanical separation on that. Literally, 3 of our largest partners, each one of them over 100,000 seats, are schools where we're ignoring 80,000 students and monitoring 20,000 teachers. Or actually, in one of the largest, about 110,000 seats, we're actually monitoring the students because they are the largest threat vector. And we were able to craft an offering at a price point where it made sense. Now, the mechanical separation we're doing today is by domain. Bob at students.school.edu is very different from Bob at teachers.school.edu. So we can do it that way. To be able to do it at the OU level, let's say, is a decision we chose not to go down for a couple of reasons. That is not a permanent answer. There are some things that Kaseya sells. You can buy 10 licenses and cover 10 people, and the other 30 people in the environment are not covered at all. Now, it's kind of like the question I ask is, why would you not put SaaS Alerts on an account that can be signed into? Do you have any PCs that you maintain that you have chosen to not put antivirus on? No, every single one of those suckers is a threat vector. Same thing with accounts. Every single one of those is a threat vector. Now, again, that's the company line. That's how we've been forever. There has been some noise about allowing you guys to buy 30 seats of SaaS Alerts to cover a 50 seat client, and you get to choose which accounts or which groups. The mechanics of rebuilding how we deliver the product are quite. It's not an easy lift. So that's half the reason why this happened. Also, because anybody who's met Chip, our founder and CTO, when we're SaaS Alerts Direct, there's nobody more serious about security than that guy. There's nobody more paranoid. And he thought it would be a terrible, 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 terrible idea for someone to be able to ignore an account that could be signed into without monitoring. So that's, again, there's a number of dominoes that lined up to get us that way. I hope that helps you understand the past, James, and also Matt. But where we're going with that, that's very much driven by partners like you. So squeaky wheel this stuff in these meetings, in our community meetings, let your account managers know. Talk to Jim if you can get in front of him, or Chip in front of him at a show. Let them know what you guys need. We love that feedback, and I mean that all sincerity. So keep that noise coming. James, Matt, I hope that gives you a little perspective on that. Some good questions, folks. Some good questions. All right. Well, I've managed to talk for a half an hour straight, even though there were some good questions. Does anybody else have any input, questions, emotional outbursts, anything that we can help with here? Then I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. You guys get half an hour of your day back. James, come back, man. What's up?
Sorry, I just figure I just throw this out there. Just to mention, because I talked to you, I think you about it maybe personally and on the last call, or maybe a couple of calls ago, regarding the issues we were having with the automatic disabling of rules for excessive triggers. Are you aware that they finally fixed that?
I know there's been some evolution in that. What Matt's referring to is when we first put together Respond. I'm sorry, James. I apologize, James. what James is referring to is when we first put together Respond, some people crafted some rules, shall we say, poorly, and the rules ran rampant over hundreds and hundreds of accounts, locking accounts, and everybody screamed at us because it was our fault. Okay, that's being a little defensive, but there were some complaints on how it executed. So we put an overarching rule in that says if there's a runaway respond rule that's taking action on more than 300 or 400 accounts in 15 minutes, to stop that so it doesn't. Thanks, Sam. Yeah, exactly.
We were running into the issue because I guess and I worked with Amanda and I guess her, through her on fixing it. I guess the issue was that if you had multiple triggers, you're saying if A and B and C happen all at once, then trigger. And regardless of whether it was going to actually lock anything out or just alert. But I guess she said underneath the hood, if A or B or C happen to pass this threshold, it would disable the alert and the rule as a whole. So
I did not realize that was an input cause that triggering as well. I thought it was strictly the actions.
Yeah, there's two safeguards, I guess. There's she explained it, but I don't remember all the details. But she said, like, I guess there's the initial one that kind of looks at it as a whole. Then there's the under the hood one, which was kind of looking at each individual component, and that's where we were running into issues because one of the let's say A might just be like whatever failed login or something like that, and we have a lot of clients and a lot of users, so that would trigger hundreds of times over a period of time, even though it's not happening with B and C. So they ended up they couldn't make the A plus B plus C logic work, but she ended up, or her team I guess, worked on making it so that the threshold is dynamic based on the number of users you have. So this way we finally got one of the rules that was not working for us working. So I figure I'd throw it out there just in case anybody else had run into that where excessive triggers was disabling rules. You may want to try it again. It might be working now.
I very much appreciate the feedback on that, James. And actually, now that we're speaking about this, I think I actually know the root of why excessive input was causing those rules to lock. I won't say at which Write a Boom show it was, but I'm talking to partners and I had a bunch of people coming up to me. I was at the show and they said, hey, why are we getting all these massive amounts of triggering account locks? So a lot of us have that brute force attack rule in place. If somebody, fails to log in 30 times in a row, then they're successful. That's probably something a little suspect. And what had happened was all the different API endpoints that Microsoft delivers, we monitor all of those for changes. If something starts to depreciate in one place, Microsoft stopped delivering data there. Which other endpoint did they start delivering it on? They always move it around. There's no telegraphing this. And we had an occasion where Microsoft killed the switch. Now, when they started delivering it again was not immediate. There was a delay. And so let's say 36 hours later, all of a sudden, we got all of these alerts saying, here's the last 4,000 failed attempts on this one account in the last 36 hours. And it incorrectly triggered a bunch of alerts because of the way Microsoft reports that. So we made some changes to the system. We put in some circuit breakers. I think that was the one that was biting you, James. And it's good to know that they continue to examine the logic based on feedback from partners like you on how to make that operate in a way that's a little less punitive when it sounds like this is something that was A plus B plus C. It's really not in your hands. It's what the end users are up to or how Microsoft is presenting it. So thanks for that, James. I did not know that was an issue. I think I know the root of it, but that was a fun little exploration. Any other parting shots, folks? Then I want to thank you very much for joining. I appreciate these every time. I appreciate your time and all the bad jokes and all the questions. I look forward to doing it again in 2 weeks when we're back at full staff. Between now and then, you guys got any questions? We'll see you on Discord.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye, guys.